Okay, the success rate for this particular question and balancing in basic media was pretty low, so I just decided to go over that. The one mistake a lot of students are making is you're not checking in your final reaction. You should not have any free electrons floating around. The electrons are supposed to cancel off, and if they don't, check your work again. So let's take a look at this one. We have iodate IO3 negative, which is reacting with I minus to give you I3 negative. So realize iodine is present in both of the starting materials. So I'm going to write down both of the oxidation reactions and the reduction reaction. We are going to balance each of those separately, individually, and then we'll add them together at the end. So I have I minus, which is becoming I3 minus. And so if you think about it, the first thing that you have to do is that you have to balance out your atoms. In this case, we don't have any oxygens or anything, so we don't have to worry about water. So that's another thing that I noticed. Some of you think that you have to add water whether or not you have oxygen. Realize you use water to balance off oxygen atoms, and then in order to balance the water added, you end up adding protons. That's how you generate that acidic media. And so in this case, if you don't have an oxygen, don't worry about it. So you have 3 negative charges, and I say 3 negative charges. This is also another error some students are making. You are going to count, since you multiplied this by 3, you're going to count this as 3 negative charges on the left hand side, only 1 negative charge on the right hand side. That means how many electrons should you add? You should add 2 electrons so that it is reflective of the 3 negative charges. So that's my first equation. The other equation I have here is IO3 with a negative sign, which is becoming I3 with a negative sign. So far seems like both of those are negative charges, but again, you have to balance out every atom other than oxygen or hydrogen, and that means you will have to multiply the left hand side by 3. And as you do that, you have now incorporated 3 times 3, that's 9 oxygens. That means you have to add 9 H2Os to balance the oxygen atom. And in the process, what have we done? We have added 9 times 2, 18 hydrogens. And so to balance that out, I'm going to have to add 18 protons on the left hand side. Now when you look at what you have 18 protons on the left hand side. You have 3 negative charges, so plus 18 minus 3, which is plus 15 charges on the left hand side, and you have 1 negative charge on the right hand side. That means if you add 16 electrons, on the left hand side, essentially the charge is going to get balanced. So your equation will start looking like 3 IO3 negative plus 18 protons plus 16 electrons gives you I3 negative plus 9 H2O. And so now notice you have 16 electron change in one, you have only 2 electron change in the other. What must you do? You must multiply the equation on the left hand side by 8, and so you get 24 I minus, giving you 8 I3 negative plus 16 electrons. Now when you add both of these equations, let's call it equation 1 and equation 2. Now when you add both of these, it's going to add up to, no electron change. So the electrons will cancel out. And that's why I say again, if your overall reaction still has some electrons remaining, check your work. 8 I3 minus plus 16 electrons plus, so 8 I3 here, 1 I3 from here, so that is going to be 9 I3 And I'm just writing right now to show you where we are going with this. So the 16 electron and the 16 electron cancel off. You have 3 iodate, 18 protons, 24 iodide, gives you 9 I3 minus and 9 H2O. Seems like the entire thing is divisible by 3, so I'm going to get rid of 3, divide the whole equation by 3. This should be 6, this should be 8, this should be 3, and that should be 3 as well. And so this is an acidic media. Now you have to make it basic media. So let's add the number of protons. So we have 6 protons. I'm going to add 6 hydroxides on both the sides of the equation. I noticed several of you were adding hydroxides like way in the beginning, and that's the last step, not the first step. So please take a be very careful when you're working around that. Let's make some room. So when you add the hydroxide, it's going to look like IO3 minus plus 6 protons plus 6 OH negative plus 8 I minus 3 I3 plus 3 H2O, and yeah. So now since you have 6 H plus and 6 OH minus, I'm going to just write that as 6 water, 6 H2O. And so 3 water from here are going to cancel off 6 of those to give you remaining 3. And what finally remains in your equation, that's going to be your balanced reaction. So your final reaction should look like IO3 negative plus 3 H2O plus 8 iodide, I minus, gives you 3 I3 negative plus 6 hydroxides. And that's it.